View from the Sidelines, episode 5, back again after the international break, and I am joined by Gatesy amongst other guests who are waiting in the wings. Gatesy, how you been, mate? How did you assess the England's 3 games?
Well, the first one, all we needed to do was turn up, quite frankly. We're playing against a nation that's ranked rock bottom of the FIFA World Rankings, and I know, most people don't take the FIFA World Rankings that seriously, but I'm not being funny. If you're 210 out of 210, then yeah, you're pretty weak. So, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. So we was always going to win that one. Yeah, so it is what it is. The Albania game, we controlled the game, didn't dominate it, but we was in control for pretty much all of it. Yesterday was something of a disappointment, especially in the second half. But again, we didn't play well, but we come away with the 3 points. So, listen, if you can play badly or not to your optimal levels anyway, and come away with 3 points, job done. So 3 games, 3 points, only the 1 goal conceded, and we also had 3 man of the match performance from West Ham players. In Jesse Lingard against San Marino and Declan Rice in the Albania and Poland game. So I don't know if that's ever happened before, where the same team has produced man of the match in consecutive internationals.
Not from what I recall, but nothing would surprise me. Like back in the day, maybe with a couple of Man United players, maybe. But
possible.
How did you assess Declan before I bring my first guest on?
I was having a conversation I'm in a group chat with some of the other Hammers chat, Patreon addicts and all the rest of it. And I made a comment and said that, in my opinion, if Declan goes to the Euros and has the tournament that I believe and most West Ham fans believe that he's capable of, not that I'm saying we should sell him, but I think his value, in my opinion, will be around about the £150 million mark off the back of it. If he goes there and shines, which I believe he will, I don't see any reason why his value wouldn't be at that level. Now, whether he would want to go, whether we would want to sell him, now that's a different story. But I think his value would be around about that figure. The guy is world class. Right now he is world class.
How much do you reckon he's worth to us?
To us, he's probably worth approaching that sort of level. I'd say probably about 120, 125, something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't want to say he's unsellable, because I think everyone realistically has their price. You have to be realistic. There comes a point, if Manchester United or say Paris Saint-Germain or Man City, clubs where money is no object, if they came in and said 150 and Golden Sullivan said no, and then they turn around and say 170, no, 190. Now, at what point do they buckle? At what point would they have to turn around and say, this is too much money to turn away? This is just ridiculous. We cannot say no at this point. I don't know. But listen, I don't want him to go. I'm not pushing him out the door by any stretch of the imagination. I want him to stay, and I want West Ham to build a team around him. I want him to lead West Ham into hopefully a period of relative success. I'm not saying we're going to win Champions Leagues or league titles or this, that, and the other. Relative success compared to what we've had the last 10, 20, 30 years, where we might have the odd season here where we finished 5th under Redknapp, we finished 7th under Roda, we finished 9th and got to a cup final under Pardew. For us, that's relative success. But that's been in the main surrounded by seasons of mediocrity and the occasional relegation. So I want us to try and get away from that. I mean, I remember when we was under Redknapp and we had I think we had 3 or 4 top 8 Premier League finishes. I want us to try and get back to that sort of consistency of
Yeah.
You know, being in the upper reaches of the Premier League. I'm not, like I say, I'm not expecting us to go and win it. I'm not unrealistic, but to be competitive, you know, and not be one of these teams that's always sort of like looking over your shoulder at the relegation line. You know, I've had enough of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I'm going to bring on another guest on. I've got quite a few tonight, and before I do, I'm going to bring on Irish Tommy. Irish Tommy, welcome,
Oh,
sir. How
Tommy.
you doing?
How are we, gents?
How you All
All
right,
good, mate.
mate. Thanks for coming on tonight, mate. Much appreciate it and all that. And
No problem.
how have you assessed, obviously, uh, obviously the national break with Declan becoming like two-man the matches? That's quite rare for a West Ham player ever to get two-man matches ever. But
Yeah.
yeah, and moving on, how much do you think Declan Rice is worth?
It's hard to say. I mean, the market is depressed. It has to be said, but I agree that we're looking at north of 100 million. His price is going up and up and up. So, I think if clubs wanted to get any kind of bargain price for Declan Rice, shall we say, in the 70 million range, last summer was the time to do it because that ship has sailed. He's putting in man of the match performances for England in qualifiers. These are not friendlies; these are not meaningless, and they're not against bad teams either. Poland have been showing real well in the qualifiers. So his price is going up and up and up. And actually, that I know on Twitter there's a lot of kind of hand wringing saying, "Geez, he's getting man of the matches for England in meaningful games against good opponents. We're going to lose him in the summer." I don't necessarily follow that line of thinking. I think the fact that he's doing so well for England, getting man of the match performances, and showing himself to be one of the very best defensive midfielders in the world may actually help us more than hurt us. Because if we're talking now, I know some of the money that's been talked about is some of it is well north of 100 million.
Yeah.
So if we're slapping that price tag on him, if we're saying he's 100 million plus, realistically, what team is going to come in the summer and go, okay, there you go, there's 100 million, there's 110, there's 120 for Declan Rice because we needed DM that badly. The amount of clubs that can afford that kind of single player purchase are very, very small. Then you have to factor in the depressed market. Then you have to factor in which teams actually need a Declan Rice. Some of the teams, their priorities will lie elsewhere. So I think purely by fact that his market value is so very high that we might actually keep him simply because either no club is willing to go there financially, or they just don't need to splash that kind of cash on that position. So I'm actually more hopeful than a lot of people that we can hang on to Declan next summer.
But do you think, though, that obviously what happens in the summer with our board, with the ambition of the club, they've got to sort of give Rice an incentive to stay, if that makes sense?
Yeah, well, again, look, I think obviously if a major club were to come in for Declan, and we were in talks, I'm sure he would feel like it's time for him to maybe move on to further his career, maybe win some trophies, play at a higher level, week in, week out, like Champions League and challenging for Premier League titles. That's completely understandable. So, and if that happens, look, so be it. I think we're all realists here. We know that the first time a major club comes in with a major bid that gets accepted, we know that Declan will go.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if that doesn't happen, then Rice isn't going to be that bothered. I don't think. I think he would be happy to stay at West Ham next season. He has time on his side. He's 22, and he's only just turned 22 a few weeks back. So it's not like he's thinking, "Geez, I need to go now. It has to happen this summer if it's going to happen." It doesn't. His trajectory is only going one way, and if he were to stay another season at West Ham, I don't think that would be an issue for Declan. It might be different if a major club come in with a major bid, but we still turned it down, then Declan might look at it and say, maybe that could be a potential issue. But barring that, I don't think Declan is going to have a problem being with us next season. I think he'd be perfectly happy to be at West Ham. Now, it would be nice if we could give him some European football. That would be great.
Yeah.
If we could give him Europa League, that would be fantastic. That would bring Declan on even more, I think, playing in Europe. So yeah, I'm not fretting about the Declan situation this summer, funnily enough. Because look, even if the worst comes to the worst and we lose him, which we'll all hate to see, of course, because he's such a talent and we're all so fond of him and we just love watching him play. And it brings a lot of pride, as a fan and to the club that we have a player of his caliber in our side and we see him play on the international stage for England, who obviously are a very high profile major international team. And it's great to see a West Ham player playing at that level and shining. So yeah, of course it will hurt when we lose him, but we will get paid. We will get a hell of a lot of money, and fingers crossed we'll be able to reinvest it wisely and improve the squad overall. Obviously, that's the big question, of course. But in theory, we should be able to do that. And Moyes, I think I trust quite a bit. I think Moyes probably would improve the first 11 and the squad and increase the squad size. So there is at least still a silver lining, even if we do lose him. But I think he'll be a West Ham player next season, simply because the market is depressed and he's going to cost so much money. And I think there are going to be very, very few teams, A, who can stump up that kind of cash, and B, who also need a player in that position.
Yeah. There's probably only about 5 clubs in world football there or thereabouts, isn't there, that could afford the transfer fee and the wages that a player of that sort of transfer value is bound to command.
And they would want, and they would want to feel like they need to splash out on that position.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. But going from one England player to a player who isn't as much as Declan Rice is Jesse Lingard, mate. Tommy, all right, obviously I've had Gates' views on this, but I'm going to ask you first, mate. Jesse Lingard, mate, Man United are going to try and give him a new deal to entice him back there for more money. What's your thoughts, mate, in the summer? Do we get this man at our club?
Yeah, I think he's going to sign for, as crazy as it sounds, I know if you take this out of context, I hope no one ever clips this and just puts it out there. I know we're not as big a club as Man United. They're a gigantic club with an amazing history, trophies just galore. Amazing club, one of the biggest in the world. I'm completely aware of that. They're a far bigger club than us. But I think Jesse Lingard signs for West Ham in the summer, even if Man United put a contract offer in front of him. I think it just makes much more sense for him right now.
Are you nervous, though, Tommy, about the board, though, with this situation? Because we all know, as fans, what they're like when it comes to transfers, how they sort of penny pinch and whatnot. Are you a bit nervous about that at all?
To be honest, I'm not. I think David Moyes would impress on David Sullivan that he's very, very keen to get Lingard signed and that we need to get him signed. And I do think Sullivan will do his best to get him signed. I don't think he'll be terribly frugal on the wages. I think if he has to pay him, he'll pay him. We've done it before. And I think he will, because it will be a priority for Moyes. And I actually do think Sullivan will probably get it done. But I think Lingard will want to sign for West Ham, actually. I mean, if we're in the Europa League, let's say we finish 6th, which is entirely possible. Qualify for Europa League. Lingard has gotten back in the England team very quickly since joining West Ham, because he's playing week in, week out, putting in great performances. And now he's back in the England team. I don't think he's going to want to risk signing another long-term deal with United, being left out in the cold again as a kind of bit part player, and then finding himself out of the England reckoning again. I don't think he's going to want to risk that at 28 years old. I think he will probably feel that his best bet right now is to be playing week in, week out at West Ham rather than bench warming at Man United.
Yeah,
That would make sense to me anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. Gatesy, what's your thoughts on that, mate? Obviously, the Lingard, it's a big signing for us, isn't it? We've got to get it over the line.
Well, as I said to you before, James, he holds all the cards. Jesse Lingard holds all the cards, not Manchester United. He has 1 year on his Manchester United contract as of the summer. So Manchester United, in order to get the maximum value, they have to sell him in this upcoming transfer window. Now, if you're Jesse Lingard, why would you sign that contract? Because it's not going to be for money, because he's a wealthy man already. So if he left on a free at the end of the contract, he can negotiate a big signing on fee and all the rest of it. No problem at all. But he wants to play football. Now, is he going to play football at Manchester United? No, because if he was going to play football for Manchester United, he wouldn't have come to loan to West Ham in the first place. He wouldn't have needed to. So he's got no future at Manchester United. He knows that. Solskjaer knows that. Everyone knows that. So why would he sign a 3-year extension on his contract? So that's now, so a 3-year extension on bolted onto the 1 year he's got left. So that will take him to the age of 32, 33. Why would you do that? That's your prime years, and you're going to spend it sitting on the bench. He's not stupid. He knows that if he signs that contract, that's his best years as a footballer gone. That's any chance of him representing England at the World Cup next year gone. See you later. Not happening. So for me, if I was in Jesse Lingard's shoes, I'd say, thanks, Manchester United, but I need to go for my career. I've got 12 months left. It's entirely up to you. You sell me now, you get top dollar for me now, or the next opportunity you've got is selling these in the January transfer window, which you'll probably get maybe 6 million, 8 million for me. Up to you. But then I go on a free the following year. So he's leaving in the summer. He's leaving in the summer, absolutely no doubt. He's not signing a contract. I'm fairly confident of that. The only thing that does worry me, is he going to come to West Ham? We're in the box seat. I think that's fair to say. But I know what Tommy's saying. I think he's absolutely correct. I think David Moyes will be impressing to the board. This guy is vital to our success over the next 2, 3, 4 seasons, because you look at the impact he's had in the 7 games. It's been absolutely phenomenal. So I think he will be putting pressure on the board, but it's whether they're going to stump up the cash, and that's the one thing that worries me. I personally think Jesse Lingard, for a 28-year-old who's in the prime of his life, 15 million quid, if that's what Manchester United want, that is a bargain. Pay the money, get the deal done.
Where'd you go?
He also has to think ahead of season, because the World Cup is coming now, hot on the heels of the European Championships.
Exactly.
So the next summer 22, they've got a World Cup, and he's going to be desperate to be in that England squad as well. So he can't mess about. He's in the England squad now because he's playing week in, week out at West Ham, and he'll feel that if he's playing week in, week out at West Ham next season, he'll also be in the World Cup squad. And let's not underestimate what that means to players and how desperate they are to play for the country. I mean, we got Dimitri Payet at the absolute perfect time. Didier Deschamps was quite cool on him. Everyone knew how much talent he had, but Deschamps felt like Payet was just too inconsistent, and so he was left out in the cold. He wasn't getting into French squads. So Payet on that 15-16 season was absolutely desperate to prove to Deschamps that he could be consistent and that he deserved to be in the French squad. And he played out of his skin to make sure he was in that French squad for the Euros in 2016. We're getting the same with Lingard now. Desperate to get back in the England squad he was when he joined us. And you can see it in his performances. So we'll get the same Lingard next season too, because he'll be desperate to go to the World Cup too. So it's imperative that we get this signing, because I think he'll continue to play really, really brilliantly for us. The incentive is there for him. And I know what you're saying, that there's always the danger that someone like Leicester might come in for him or someone like that. He would be tempted by that. But I just think his relationship with Moyes and the fact that things are going so well for him at West Ham. I think that will swing it our way. So I really feel he's going to be a West Ham player, proper West Ham player, come the first game of next season.
Yeah, I agree. Well, football, just going off topic, and I'll get back onto that in a minute. Football with Brownies just asked this about the Romanian player who played for us.
Florin Radichoiu.
Did he play for us?
Florin Radichoiu was... Florin Radichoiu couldn't hack the physicality of the Premier League, basically. He was in the dressing room at half-time in one game, crying to Harry Redknapp that they're kicking me.
Yeah.
Really talented Radichoiu, but could not hack the physicality of the Premier League. Defenders kind of getting physical with him, kicking him, elbowing him, and God knows what else they were getting up to. He could probably do it now. Premier League right now, it's not what it used to be. It's much softer now, even though it's still relatively physical. But forwards don't get banged up like they used to.
How long was he with us for? How long was he with us for, Tommy?
A year, I believe.
Yeah, but he cried off. He just couldn't hack it. Lots of talent. Don't get me wrong. He was a really good player, Radichoiu, and he did score one absolute cracking goal. I think it might have been against Man United. Real peach of a goal. So you could see his talent, but just the physicality was just too much for him. He just couldn't hack the treatment he was getting from defenders, and he basically just took his ball home.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, basically, what you're saying about Lingard, I understand it, as I do, totally. Obviously, the summer's coming now. There's going to be a budget there. I'm going to start with Gatesy first. What sort of budget are we looking at for the summer, mate? And should we be worried?
Yes. In answer to that question, straight away, yes. Right. We got 20 million quid in the bank from the Sebastian Haller sale. That's going on Lingard and Dawson. That's pretty much that entire 20 million gone. So they've turned around and said they want to get 40 million from the sales of Yarmolenko, Anderson, and Lanzini. Not going to happen. Not going to happen, right? Yarmolenko's 31 years of age. He's perennially injured. Very talented footballer, but he's on his last knockings. Now, I did the sums. So if you're looking at getting 40 million quid for those three players, then you need to be averaging 13.3 million per player. You're not going to get that for Yarmolenko. So you then need to make up the shortfall with the other two players. Well, Felipe Anderson, he's not getting a kick at Porto. So who's going to pay sort of like 20 million quid for him? No one is. They'd be out of their mind. So we're not going to get 40 million quid for those three. If anything, we're probably going to get maybe 30 if we're lucky. So I've discussed it with you, James. I think we're probably going to end up doing a lot of, in the freebie market. Probably a lot of loans with an option to buy, that sort of thing. We desperately need a striker. That's clear to see. We need a striker as a priority. If you're going to get a proper Premier League standard striker, they cost money. So the chances are that one player, if you're going to get a quality striker that can hit the ground running and there's a bit of a Premier League pedigree, which I think is important, you're going to be paying probably the entirety of that budget on that one player alone. And we need a lot more than three players in Lingard, Dawson, plus a striker. A lot more. And that's what worries me.
I agree, mate. I'm just going to bring this man in all the way from Canada, I believe. James, you've been hearing all that, mate. I'm going to ask Tommy it, and then I'll get to you shortly, mate. But Tommy, to follow up on what Gatesy was saying about the budget, mate, what are you expecting this summer?
I'll tell you what, I agree with Gatesy. I mean, the notion we get 40 million for those three, it's just not happening. Yarmolenko, we might get 5 or 6. He's not worth much. At his age plus injuries, he's picking up now. Going to get very little for him. And here's the other major problem that I think we've got. you're going to have a hell of a job shifting Anderson. Like a hell of a job. I mean, this guy, I mean, we had a chance, I think, perhaps at getting a few quid for him last summer. That maybe we could have found a club for him, gotten a few quid for him, cut our losses. But given what's happened at Porto, that seemed like a perfect move for him on loan for the season. And I understand the reasoning behind it. You send him off to Porto, same language, culturally, he should fit in. It looked like a good move on paper. And the hope was that he would go and have a good season with Porto. He's in the shop window of the Champions League. And that we would entice a bid from Porto themselves or some other club in the summer after he's had a really good season out in Portugal. But it's blown up in our faces. He can't even get in the squad at Porto. And there's clearly an issue between him and the manager and between him and the chairman. So he's got his parent club, West Ham, who don't want him back. A loan club that he's fallen out with who don't even want him in the matchday squad. Now, if you're a buying club, and given his wages, which I believe is like 140 grand a week, something in that ballpark.
Yeah.
I mean, like, who exactly do we think is coming in for him and paying, the kind of money that West Ham might be looking to recoup from, 20 million or so? It's not happening. I mean, who takes a 20 million pound punt on Anderson, given the last couple of seasons he's had? I think we might be stuck with him. I mean, we might be in a situation. We might be in a situation where we have to take a really, really low fee for him just to get him off the books.
But does Moyes have to rebuild this man though? Like, he's rebuilt a few players at the club who, I'll be honest with you, a couple of them I was like wanted out the door. I think Cresswell he's sort of done a bit better with since like this season, especially the way Cresswell's played. Fredericks, like, I'm not a fan of Fredericks, but like he
might have no choice.
Yeah,
he might have no choice. That's what I'm saying. Moyes may have no choice but to say, okay, I'm going to have to get this guy playing because we're stuck with him.
Who's going to take him?
Yeah, I agree.
If you're a manager of a club, just put yourself in the shoes of a manager of a club who wants an attacking midfielder who can play centrally in the number 10 role or out on the left. And you think Anderson, realistically, like, first of all, would you even want him at all? But even if you thought, I might be willing to take a punt on Anderson, like, what are you going to pay for him?
Yeah, I know. There's no
whack.
But even then, though, I'll make Tommy right on this one, and I'm going to hand it over to James in a minute with his faults. But we need to rebuild him up before we can sell him because he's got no value at the minute. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, he's done nothing in the last.
The Porto move was supposed to do that, but it's been an absolute disaster. So if we're going to get any kind of money for him, he's going to have a really good season for us next season, or a really good season on loan elsewhere.
Does anybody know if we can recall him? Do we have a recall option?
We don't have a recall option, but I can absolutely guarantee you, had we gone to Porto in January and said, "Look, do you want to call it quits and just send him back?" They absolutely would have done it
because they're paying all of his wages, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do you know? I've just looked. He hasn't kicked a ball for them since the 4th of February. Not a single ball has been kicked by him since then.
And it's now April.
And it's not because he's not coming off the bench either. He's not in their matchday squads.
No, I think the last.
You don't rate him at all.
The last 4 games in the league, he's not been involved in the squad. 3 games before that, he was on the bench, didn't get used. Crazy.
Yeah. James, coming to you, mate. We're just talking about the transfer budget for the summer. What do you expect to happen, mate?
I like you're saying, I expect Lanzini, Yarmolenko, and Anderson to be shipped off elsewhere. But this 40 million thing is not going to happen because, like Gacy said, it'd be 13.3 million for each. You're definitely not getting that for Yarmolenko, given his injury record and his age. Lanzini, you probably won't get that either because of his injury record and the fact that he's not been the same as he was 5 years ago. And Anderson, we're going to end up getting a loss on him. And this is This goes back to another typical West Ham thing, though, where we end up selling for less than what we bought anyway. We're not going to make profit off of them. I mean, you look at teams like Leicester who've made good profit off of players like Maguire and then use it to rebuild the team and put on the training facilities. We're not going to do that. We're going to end up cutting our losses on all these players if they go. So that's my biggest concern.
Yeah. What do you make, though? What do you make of, obviously, I know there's... See, the thing is, I don't know, I'm going to ask everyone individually in a minute this. Like, can we afford to get these 3 players out? Like, because we can't get these players out and not replace them with 3 other players, if that makes sense. Like, we can't go 3-1 or 3-2, because if one of them gets injured, then we're light. Right? What do you think, James?
Well, if we get... Like I say, we need to have a plan in place if we do get rid of them. We need to get somebody in before, if we are going to ship these players off, because it would only make sense that any normal functioning club, and I say normal functioning because that's true, would do that. I don't see really Anderson getting into the squad again under Moyes, because I don't think I know you said that Moyes could build Anderson up again, but I don't really see it happening. I think Moyes is going to look elsewhere. Take the money that he gets from the sale of these players and just put it on players that may be cheap in theory, but at least diamonds in the rough. Like I said, you got that with Souček and Sofal. So I think that's what Moyes might be doing. But yeah, we got to have some kind of plan in place if these 3 players, like Yarmo, Lanzini, and Anderson, leave, because otherwise the squad depth problem is going to be there again. We're going to have to worry when a player gets injured. We're not going to get anyone in. It's going to be the vicious circle all over again.
Yeah, I agree. Tommy, what do you reckon, mate? Can we afford to get rid of these 3 players? And we've got to make sure we bring in 3 players to match up with what we're letting go.
Yeah, we're going to have to find some gems if we're going to get rid of those kinds of players. We're going to have to find more Kofals and Součeks, from somewhere, players that we can bring in that are quite cheap and prove to be really good for us. Whether we can do that or not remains to be seen. I think, we probably got quite lucky with Souček, and then Souček recommended Kofal, and he turned out to be excellent. So whether we can keep that going, I mean, that would be perfect, obviously, buy cheap, sell high. Whether we can find those diamonds in the rough, I think will determine how we shape up next season, because like I say, I think what cash there is, I think will be splashed on a number 9. And after that, I think we're kind of scrambling a little bit. And the worry is that we're going to find ourselves in a situation like we did in the 16-17 season, when our first season at the Olympic Stadium, when we had Europa League. Remember that season too, where we went for quantity over quality just to pad the squad, because we were expecting, to be playing Premier League and Europa League plus 2 domestic cups, and of course we crashed out in the qualifiers, Europa League, to Astra Giurgiu, whatever they're called. So the worry is that we go do that again and we fill the squad with a lot of kind of crap, just because we think we're going to need the numbers. So David Moyes has got his work cut out from this summer, I think. There's not going to be much in the kitty once he gets his striker. And like I say, we might be stuck with Anderson. Yarmolenko will fetch a few million. Lanzini, we can probably get a few quid for. He'd be the highest of the 3 if we can find a suitor. But like you say, if we're trying to replace them with the same kind of money we sell them for, then you're looking at trying to replace Yarmolenko for maybe 6 million. Anderson, we might be stuck with, like I say, mightn't be able to sell him at all. And Lanzini, whatever we can get for him, if we can squeeze 15 million quid out of someone, then use that money. But the money's going to be tight. There's no question. And like I say, it is a depressed market as well. So no, the only good thing that might be in our favour is that players in Ligue 1 in France are going to be bargain basement prices. They are in serious financial trouble over there. Their TV deal has collapsed. And there's a lot of clubs in France that really, really need to get players off the books. So they're going to have to sell cheap. So it's possible we could look to France. I don't know what connections David Moyes has there or David Gold has there. But if we can we could potentially find some gems very cheaply in France. So France could be our savior this summer, actually, because there are some very good players there and they will be going very cheap. So I'm hoping that France will potentially save our summer, as it were.
Yeah. I hope so, mate. I really do. Gatesy, what do you think, mate, on this matter? 3 in, 3 out.
Yeah, we're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea here, aren't we? Because we've got 3 players that, quality-wise and what they contribute on the pitch, their impact's going to be negligible, if we're being honest. However, they are players that on their day, and their days are few and far between, mind, but on their day they could be quite useful in a European campaign. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Personally, I think they need to go, just as much for their careers as it is for us to get them off the wage bill. But we need to be replacing them again with people of a comparable quality. Now the problem is as Tommy said, in the case of Yarmolenko, you're probably going to get £6 million for him. Well, unless we manage to pull out, as you say, another Vladimir Soufal, it's going to be difficult. So, but I mean, Moyes has done it. Moyes has done it before at Everton. I mean, you look at some of the signings he made, and he operated there for many years on a relative shoestring, and he got consistent top 6 finishes. So, if there's someone that I'm confident in going out into maybe markets that the rest of us aren't familiar with, I mean, let's be honest about it. Who here had ever heard of Thomas Soucek? Who had ever heard of Vladimir Soufal? None of us. No. He went out there, bang, brought him in, bargain. I think he's got his scouts out there. He'll have done his homework, and as I say, he's got a track record of doing this at Everton. He did it for 11 years there. He brought in people that you'd never heard of, people like Joseph Yobo, Brian McBride, players like that, and he'd dip into the occasional sort of like rough diamond in the Championship, like an Andy Johnson, and they came in and they did a great job. Sorry?
Jermaine Beckford.
Yeah. And Tim Cahill. Let's not forget Tim Cahill, mate.
Tim Cahill is a fantastic player. So, I mean, he's got a track record of being able to unearth talent for a relative pittance and turn them into Premier League players. So, I'm confident if anyone can do it, it's David Moyes. Fingers crossed.
Let's hope so, mate. Right, I'm going to ask Gatesy and Tommy for their prediction for Monday, and I'm going to have to let them go because I've got a couple of other people who want to sit in the wings waiting. But I'll get to Tommy first. First of all, Tommy, what do you expect Monday, and what do you think is going to happen, mate?
Yeah, I think it'll actually be quite a good game, actually. I think it'll be quite open and attacking. I hope Moyes sticks with 4 at the back. I really do. I hope he doesn't go there and get a little negative with play wing backs. Hopefully he'll stick with the 4 at the back, the usual 4-2-3-1. I quite fancy us. I mean, they're having an okay season, Wolves, but they do blow hot and cold, and I think we're going to beat them, actually. I think we're in much better form than them. Obviously very disappointed to let Arsenal back into it, but those first 35 minutes were sensational, and look, we beat them 4-0 at our place. I quite fancy this one, actually. I'm not that impressed with Wolves this season. They're struggling a bit, so I think we're going to go there and get a result.
Does your opinion change though when that team sheet comes out if there is a 5 at the back though?
Not necessarily. I just think it'll kind of. I still think we can go there and beat them. I think with either formation. I just would rather see us do it more positively. I think one of the good things about this season, we've shown we can actually win both ways. We've won with both systems, and the players are comfortable in both. So I still think we would turn them over with the wing-back system, but it would just be a little too negative for me. I think it would be more of a kind of sluggish game where we're kind of sitting back too much and soaking it up. And I think we'd be perfectly comfortable to defend against them. And then we would catch them on the counter, or we score from set pieces as we do. I think they're vulnerable on set pieces, and I think we'll punish them there. But I think we can actually go out and go toe to toe with these guys in the 4-2-3-1 formation and get after them. I mean, look how we got after Arsenal. You know what our
Yeah, I
play.
know.
No, I mean just sensational. So we can do it when we want to, you know. So I'm hoping he'll be more positive and go with the flat back four, because I do think we can actually go there and just outplay them. I think we're a better team. I'll be honest.
Mm.
In better form and more confident than they are, and I think we can go to Molineux and turn them over either way. But I'd love to see us do it in a positive, more attacking style because I think we can win it that way.
Yeah. What's your score prediction, mate? Before I let you go.
Given that I haven't seen the formation, and I'm assuming a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
I think we're going to knock 3 past them, and I think we will concede probably 1 because they do have some attacking talent and they can be very good. And given the flat back 4, that we probably will concede 1. So I think I'm going to go 3-1 away win for West Ham on this one.
Well, Tommy, it's been an absolute pleasure you coming on, mate. I really appreciate it, and I'd love to get you on. I'd love to get you on again, mate. I respect your opinion as a West Ham fan and your insight into our clubs. Bang on. So, yeah, I'd be love to have you on again, mate. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Cheers, James.
Take care, Tom.
Appreciate it. See you,
Take care,
Gatesy.
man.
Good.
Gatesy, I will ask you the same, mate. Your thoughts on the Wolves game, big game,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, confident. Again, not complacent because Wolves. The previous 2 seasons they were far better than what they are now. This season they're not quite the same. There are reasons for that. You know, they've lost Doherty and Jota and Jimenez to injury. Traore's form has dropped alarmingly, so they're not the same team they were last season. I agree with Tommy. I think we could go there with a back 4 or a back 5, and provided the personnel that's selected is correct for the formations that we're playing, then I think that we're more than capable in either format of turning him over. I think 2-1. I just read a little bit earlier though that they've been given a little bit of a boost that their goalkeeper Rui Patricio has been passed fit to play, and Daniel Podence might be available for selection as well. So that gives them a little bit of a boost. But then again, let's not forget we scored 3 in our last game. I know we can then conceded 3, but we scored 3 goals. So going forwards we're looking good. We've just had 3 international games for England, and the 3 man of the match performances were all taken by West Ham players. So a little bit of confidence there. I understand Masuaku and Yarmolenko could be in contention for the squad. Again, just, giving us... Sorry?
Fornals is back in. Yeah.
Good news. So again, it's giving Moyes a lot more strings to his bow. So I'm going a 2-1 win. I'm confident.
2-1 win. Let's hope you're all right, mate. I'm going to let you go, Gatesy. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Cheers for having me.
I really appreciate it tonight, mate, and I'll catch up again with you soon. No problem. Take care, man. James, obviously I brought you in. I've got Andy here with me. I've got West Ham Online here with me. I'm going to start with James first because I know James is waiting very patiently. Obviously, James, obviously the Arsenal game was a poor result for us, really, even though it was a point. How do you look at the insight of this game with Wolves, mate?
Well, Wolves this season have been a depleted team without Jimenez in the lineup, and they've lost a lot of intensity without Jota there. So those are 2 big losses that they haven't really coped well with. We usually have seen Wolves finishing in a European position and finishing in the top half. It's not been the case this season. They've been poor in form for the most part. They're in the bottom of like 13th now on the table, I think. We beat them 4-0 earlier on in the season, even with Jimenez in the team still. Don't forget. So anything can really happen. I would like to see us play a 4 at the back system. Hopefully, if Masuaku is fit in time for the game, he has some kind of involvement. I'm sort of coming down here saying, what would your front 4 be? Because I know Fornals is going to be back. It'll be interesting to see who you guys are picking for front 4. I think we'll go Antonio, Bowen, Benny and Jailings for that. I wouldn't start 4-0 right away because just not the right thing to do, really. But 4-0, I would like to see him come on at some point in the game. But I think we can give it a good shot against Wolves. Definitely.
I'm going to bring in Andy. Andy, you've been waiting in the background, mate. I appreciate your time. And basically, mate, this game on Monday, I think, decides if we're Champions League or Europa League, in my opinion. We can't be going up to these places and losing this game or drawing this game if we're Champions League contenders. What's your thoughts on Monday's game, mate?
I think it's going to benefit us playing on Monday as well. I think other teams around us winning will give us more of a kick up the backside, to be honest. If you think the last couple of times we've played on the Monday, Leeds, for example, we've been top notch. So that's what I think. I think I know everyone says it as its benefits, and it's down to I either want to play if, for example, the first game of the weekend or the last game of the weekend. If your first game, you're putting pressure on the others, and if you're last, you know what you've got to do. So I'm feeling confident, like what Tommy and Gatesy are saying. I can't see nothing more than the win.
Yeah, I'm with you there, mate. I will say one thing: we don't ever do anything at Molineux. That's one place. That's one ground we never seem to win at. Like for the amount of times we've been there. West Ham Online. Welcome. Thanks for your time and waiting patiently in the background. We've got Wolves Monday, mate. This is a big one, especially for us. Like if we're going Champions League, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me on. Secondly, it's a must-win. Like most of our games remaining, if not all, basically, they're must-win games now. You said to me a few weeks ago, I think with 14, 15 games left, 15 cup finals left now. Now we've got 9 cup finals. This is a really important game. We've just one win in our last 4, albeit against really good teams that we've played against. This is a game we can't afford to slip up on, because then it looks like a bit of a rut, a bit of bad form, and something that will cost us at the end of the season. Yeah, it's a game we must win. I'm happy with the 5 at the back if Masuaku is playing, because I think we looked fantastic in the 5 at the back system with Masuaku at the start of the season. But that's only if he's fully fit, which I don't think he will be yet. And he's not really played any games in months, so apart from the under-23s the other week. So I want to see it the 4 at the back like you do. I want Ben Rama to start. I want Lingard to start. I want Bowen to start. I want the front 4 that played Arsenal, because although we didn't win, they scored 3 goals between them, which is fantastic against a team like Arsenal. So yeah, we've got to be confident, in my opinion. I think we will win.
See, I've heard this today, right? And I've heard the 5 at the back situation. I'm going to go to James first. If we go 5 at the back here, right, I personally think this is a negative move if we're trying to match up against Wolves. I know Wolves play a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2 system, but this 5 at the back situation, what's your thoughts, mate?
It's not really needed in games. Right, well, no, put it this way. Majority of our remaining fixtures against teams in the bottom half of the table. Okay, so we, in theory, we should be really playing 5 at the back against the teams that are in the bottom half of the table. Yeah, fair enough that opposition differs depending on what they're going for, but our 5 at the back means it is more defensive rather than offensive. I think if we are going to play a 5 at the back thing, that just shows on paper we're going to shut up shop against them. Well, why not? Well, we can't really in these last few games afford to shut up shop when we need to be getting the points on the board. We slipped up against Arsenal. We needed to take a lesson away from that about being more proactive. So having 5 at the back is more of a reactionary thing to suggest that we need to defend better if we conceded 3 goals. I don't want us to do that against Wolves because it's a different kettle of fish, different game, different opponent, and I think we don't need to go defensive out against them when they are in the league position they're in. They're missing the best striker.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I do agree with you there. Andy, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, no, like I said when we were speaking the other night, I can't remember. I think it was on Gates's channel. I was promoting the back five, but like I said, it can be offensive in one way. But reflecting on it, I'm thinking about what other Wales is saying. Say, for example, if we go 2-0 up, yeah, I'm just hopefully we do.
Mm.
We could then revert to that back five and bring Masuaku on because then we will have the benefit of defending and attacking, and we've got
Yeah.
that flexibility. So, like like you said, it depends what Wolves turn up. Wolves are hot and cold. They've probably got one decent game in 6 now this season without Jimenez, but you never know. This international break may have come at a good time for them, like what it's done to us this season. You know my opinion on international football. I think it's the biggest waste of time because, especially this part of the season, when you just want to. We was playing one game every 3 or 4 days. Now how long's it been since we're playing? But no, back five. Yeah, I think we'll end up using it, but hopefully it's at the end of the game instead of the start of the game when we're comfortably winning.
Yeah, I agree with you there, mate. West Ham Online, 5 at the back, yes or no? Thoughts, mate?
I completely see what Andy's saying there with the revert at the end of the game. But in my opinion, if we start in the 4 and we go 2-0 up, I just want to see us continue playing in the exact same way because under Moyes, I've seen too many times where we've been comfortably leading and we revert to the 5 at the back or we change formation and sit at the back and we bottle it. Speaking the Brighton game last year, we done exactly that. We brought Masuaku on and we went 5 at the back when we were 3-1 up. And we, in all honesty, we deserved to lose. That last 20 minutes was horrific. They should have got 4 or 5 goals. They got 2, but it was terrible. And then you got the Arsenal game. We didn't. I don't believe we changed formation too much, but we were obviously winning 3-0. We sit back, sit in our own box, don't play the way that's been working, and well, we all know what happened there. We drew the game. So if we're leading 2-0, I just want to see us playing the same way and not getting sucked in too deep because I actually think with us at the moment, the best form of defence, if you like, is attacking, counter-attacking and getting numbers forward, not just sitting back. So there needs to be a balance the whole game, in my opinion. And I hope we start with the 4, unless, as I've said, if Mazurk is deemed fully fit, I wouldn't be opposed to the 5 coming into play.
Let's ask this question, right? Does Ben Rama start? I'm going to ask it's a simple yes or no question, right? I'm going to ask everyone. I'm going to start off with Andy. Does he start?
Yes.
James?
Definitely.
West Ham Online?
100%.
So we're all in agreement here that this man should be starting, right? Now, if he doesn't start on Monday for tactical reasons, supposedly, from what I'm hearing, is this becoming a bit of a negative vibe that's sort of hindering on Moyes at the minute when it comes to Ben Rama? Because it seems like Ben Rama has one good game, and then he might do one mistake and he's hounded for it, if that makes sense. I'm going to start off with James on that. What do you reckon, mate?
I don't think it's anything to do with Moyes necessarily having anything against Ben Rama, because don't forget Moyes has praised Ben Rama many times before. But Moyes needs to take into account that West Ham are a better team and more well-rounded with Ben Rama in it. Because if you look at the statistics, West Ham win more games when Ben Rama's playing. And dropping him is taking a bit of a cog out of the engine. And I call it the engine because him and Lingard engineer that attacking mid. So if you take out Saïd Ben Rama, you've got one less part of the machine there. You're missing something that's not going to make it run as smoothly. Having Ben Rama in the team is an asset, even though if he doesn't score or get assists, or even if he doesn't do a step over, it's the fact that he takes on players and he can make a big impact on the day. So dropping him is nonsensical in my opinion, especially if we're going to try and get 3 points against the team.
Yeah, I agree, mate. West Ham Online?
I think this is going to be the only week you'll hear me say I want Ben Rama to start, but I can't blame Moyes too much if he doesn't, because I think for now, in his recent performances, been brilliant. I'm not, as you know, I'm not Fornell's biggest fan. I think he's got flippers on in the final third. Sandals FC when he gets in the box. But in his recent performances, he's been brilliant. And obviously, Lingard made himself undroppable. Antonio is the only real striker we've got. And then Bowen was fantastic against Arsenal, and he looked like the Bowen that we saw in 2020. So
Yeah.
I want Ben Rama to start, don't get me wrong, but I think this is the only time where I can't blame Moyes for him starting, because it's reached a point where he needs to start getting goals, because it's gone on for too long now, in my opinion.
Yeah. Andy?
For me, the one who drops out is Antonio, and Fornals comes in. Do you remember we was talking the other day, and you have Lingard and Ben Rama as the false nine. I think that would just cause so many problems. And like what we were saying, and Antonio running full speed and in fourth or fifth gear for 20 minutes is not going to do him no harm. If he's in second gear for 90, he's got the risk of an injury. So
yeah,
that's my opinion on it. I think Antonio's been found out as well. Don't get me wrong, he occupies defenders, but if you asked any defender in the Premier League, who would you rather have running against you, like running into the box, that is not down the channels, Ben Rama or Lingard or Antonio? I know what ones they'll pick.
Yeah. Do you know what? That ain't a bad shout. Like, I'm not being funny enough, and Antonio, it wouldn't be a bad shout having him on the bench and bring him on for the last half hour, and as an option. Because let's be honest, we've only got an 18-year-old striker on the bench who comes on, and we're relying on Lanzini to come on and perform miracles, sort of thing. But like, obviously we've got players coming back. We've got Fornals coming back, Bonner possibly coming back, Arthur coming back. James, what do you reckon? Do you reckon any of these players are going to come straight back in, or do you reckon they're all going to be benched?
I think they're all going to be benched to start with, but if I were Moyes, I'd probably put Bonner in straight away and get Dawson out, because Dawson, the fact Dawson's had back-to-back games with an own goal and yet still starts, it's like, it's not to be harsh on Dawson because it's been great, but it's like getting away with murder in a way if he's doing that and not being reprimanded for it. I think, yeah, Bonner definitely should get back into the starting 11. I said it after the Arsenal game on my channel that he should. I think Masuaku may not get back inside straight away, but the situation will arise when we play with a back five and he comes in it, and that's all right. Fornals is a hit or miss kind of thing. I am in favour of starting him and dropping him at the same, benching him at the same time, should I say. I think, yeah, when these players coming back, the only one I see really getting back into the starting 11 straight away is Bonner.
Yeah. Andy?
I agree with everything what James has said. Bonner, for me, is I'd like to see the stats over how many goals we've conceded since Bonner's been out, and it's just his leadership and his experience. Like you said, he's getting better with age, and I think Creswell just feels more comfortable with a Bonner. I don't know, it's the old cliche, but two left-footed on the left-hand side of defence makes all the difference. Like a Bonner can get it on the half turn and just whip the balls into Rice, Lingard, Ben Rama, instead of a Dawson or a Diop trying to do a passing field on his weak foot, and we've been caught out. So, yeah, that's the only one for me, mate.
West Ham online?
I completely agree with almost everything that Andy and James have just said. The only thing for me is I dropped Diop instead of Dawson, because Dawson and Ogbonna were absolutely phenomenal as a partnership, and I think Diop is playing on roller skates half the time. The man can't mark a pen. He can't mark any paper. The man can't mark at all. I'm sick and tired of Diop at this point. Yeah, for me, he has to be dropped. Ogbonna is just our best defender by a mile, and it's shown in his absence with the leadership that he brings that Andy and James just alerted to. And I don't think we would have collapsed like we did at Arsenal if we had someone like him ordering around the defence.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, if it all depends on the lineup, so it all depends on the formation. If it comes to like 7:15, or 7 o'clock Monday night, and I've looked at that team sheet, and there's 5 at the back there, I'm going to be fuming. I'm not going to be impressed at all. I want to see us on the front foot, like a 4-2-3-1 system or a 4-3-3 system. If Fornells it does come back in, I can accept that, right? Because he can make way as the third midfielder, right? And I can sort of accept that greatly. But if we go 5 at the back with wing backs, that to me is not a good sign for me, and we're just asking for trouble. I'm going to go round on to sort of predictions on the match now. I'm going to start off with West Ham Online. How do you think this match is going to go, mate?
I see the first. Obviously, it's at Molineux, and as you said, we don't have a great record there. Not that I think it's too relevant in these current conditions, but I expect them to start strong, and we'll sort of have to weather the storm like we did against Leeds. But I think towards the end of the half, we should come into it a bit, and I think overall, first half we'll end up going 1-0 up, and they might get a goal back in the second, but I think overall we'll win 2-1. And I'm predicting, this is a very bold prediction, but I'm actually predicting Benrahma to finally score.
We say that every week.
Yeah.
I've been saying that every single week, but I've been on every platform going. James, and you, I've been like hoping and just to shut the Benrahma haters up. But what do you reckon, James? Monday.
Tough one, because like I say, we don't have a good track record at Molineux. It's a tough place for us to go. I think if we play 4 at the back and have a more attacking unit, we got a good chance, because we play very free flowing and take advantage of open space a lot, especially with our midfield. And I've said many times before, our midfield's where it's going to be won, and we're going up against another good midfield with Wolves, because they've got Neto and Neves and Podence coming back, players like that. So it's going to be a battle in the midfield, as it always has been the case with West Ham this season. I think I'm going to go, if I go for prediction, West Ham to scrape it 2-1. Lingard to score in it, and Bowen.
2-1 again. Andy, what's your thoughts on this game, mate? I'm going to ask Andy this, right? If we do set up 5 at the back, what do you reckon it'll be? And if we set up at 4 at the back, what do you reckon it'll be?
If we set up 4 at the back, we're going to win 4-0. I think it's going to be exactly the same as the home fixture. I think we're just going to have too much for him. I like the point what Gatesy was making about the goalkeeper. I think the goalkeeper will make a huge difference on the result. And the only thing what worries me from a Wolves side is Traore with his pace. That's the only thing what worries me. But if oh, is that me?
No, go on, mate. Carry on.
I reckon, 4-0, and I reckon it will be 3-1 if we go 5 at the back, because I think we'll loop it. And I know we keep saying it every week, but I think Benrahma will score, and I think Diop's going to score. I'm going to say it now. I say it all the time. I'm a Diop fan. I'm going to defend him as much as I can, because a defender does not peak until late 20s. He's still young, and he's playing in the best league. And he's being tested. So that's me.
I'm with you there, Andy. I'm with you, mate. I'm a Diop fan and all. It's just that you can't keep criticising the man when he's only played a handful of games.
I think he has the attributes to be a great player. I just think his marking and his concentration is horrific, and it's quite funny. But
does it show though? I'm just going to ask you this: does it show when the Bonner's not there though? Because when you look at Dawson and you look at hold on, mate. If you look at Dawson and you look at Diop, when they've both been partnered with a Bonner, it seems like he's got the attributes to sort of say, right, you stay there, I've got this area, sort of thing. When Dawson and Diop have been together recently, they've been a bit all over the place, both of them.
Yeah, but then at the same time, you've got to say Diop and Ogbonna were together in large periods of last season, and Diop still made massive mistakes. The Brighton one, where he done the weirdest header back to the keeper since 1938. I mean, the guy just can't mark. I can't remember who I was saying it to, but
But
the two players that follow me on Instagram are Yarmolenko and Diop, and they're the two that I slate the most.
Oh mate,
Unfortunate.
he showed me the Diop following thing on the Instagram or wherever it was, and I was like, if only he knew, mate. If only he knew. But listen,
let's
before
tag him in
we
this.
round,
Let's tag him in this.
yeah, before we round it up, I just want to get your quick opinions on something that's happened recently this week. Obviously, I'm going to start with James on this one, but Claude from AFTV, mate, passed away this week, and he's been a big influence on a lot of YouTubers and people getting into the football stuff on YouTube and everything. Obviously, doing the stuff with Arsenal Fan TV, he sort of made it famous, basically. Obviously, we're all on Twitter. Right, we're all on social media. Obviously, you must have seen the sort of abuse he was getting before he passed away. What's your thoughts, mate, on that? On him sadly passing away on, I think it was Monday.
It's very sad, first and foremost, and you know, everyone says R.I.P. Claude from whoever I support, but it doesn't matter who you support in general. Football sport brings a lot of people together, and you know, Claude went on a lot of other channels to talk about Arsenal, and you can see his passion and his energy for the club. He'd been supporting the club since 1968. I remember sending a video, and first went to see him when he was in 1972. So he was a real old school fan who knew the core values of his club and knew what Arsenal was all about. And missing it, and his passing is very, very sad. It's sad for his family, his grandchildren, his daughter. I think as well, it's just a reminder, you know, even not to be think about what you say really before you do anything, because Claude's last tweet said, might as well go back and see my mum who passed away. And and then when he went and followed through with it, it's another reminder. You just got to be careful what you say online because people take it literally.
Yeah, I agree, mate. You couldn't have put that any better. West Ham Online, what's your thoughts on that, mate? Obviously, recently you done some work with AFTV, and yeah, he was one of their own, basically.
Yeah, I'm going to say quite a bit on it, but the first thing I do want to say is I was glad to see today that it wasn't a result of suicide. Apparently, it was because of his physical condition that he had, where he had a physical condition. I don't know if you knew, but he had to go to hospital quite frequently. I'm not going to put any conspiracy theories forward at the moment. I'll speak to you guys off camera about it a bit, but it was absolutely devastating to see. It was just shocking. You know, I wasn't expecting it, despite his tweets and despite the fact that he had mental and physical condition. And it's just so sad that the last few years of his life were ruined by people online, and that's what it is about it. Basically, the last few years of his life, he said about the online abuse, and Twitter and Instagram and all that need to start putting where you have to have some sort of accountability behind your comments, and you have to have some sort of identification behind your comments, because the amount of accounts that I see doing it and not getting punished, just coming back with a new account 5 minutes later, is ridiculous, really. And he's not someone who deserved abuse either. He didn't do anything wrong. He just put forward his opinions on Arsenal and didn't slate anyone in the community. So it was just ridiculous. It's really sad to see. And the thing that disgusted me the most, sorry that I'm going on a bit of a rant here, but I saw someone trying to blame his death when people initially thought it was a suicide on Robbie kicking him off AFTV when...
No.
I mean, that was just ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous that they could blame Robbie for his death. Someone said that Robbie has blood on his hands, and Robbie's I'll tell you now, Robbie's one of the nicest people you'll meet, and absolute joke that they were blaming it on Robbie. Claude made a mistake in that live stream, and I'm sure he'll admit it. And you know, it's just sad to see.
Yeah, Andy.
Yeah, no, like what James and West Ham Online have said, it's like, don't get me wrong, we're all a football community and we support one team, and I get a bit of banter. Do you know, for example, like I'm just thinking of We Are Tottenham TV on when people make clips of Arsenal TV, but they're reacting the way we do off camera. They're just doing it on camera. There's nothing different to what everyone's doing, and I think that's the bit what I find frustrating. And it's just proved this week of all of the, even like Balassi, for example, he's come out and tweeted, and I think this is the problem. I think, I'm not saying that it's a must, but I think professional football players need to be more outspoken, because I know they get abuse and stuff like that. And like you said, the ID is definitely a must for social media, and I think that is the only way. And I think it should be like a contract, and it should be like you can be prosecuted. We will take action. We will do this, and we do. And so, for example, if you abuse someone on Instagram, you should be banned off all social media, not just on Instagram. It should be always one package, and then that's a way of stopping it. And I think naming and shaming, and maybe the risk of prison, for example, because it is an offence. So it's a crime, exactly. So I've sort of went on a rant like West Ham Online. So sorry about that, mate.
That's all right. That's all right, mate. Do you know what I'm going to say on this? It's sad, mate. It's sad. Obviously, the man was suffering with depression and all, and anyone who suffered from that, it's not a nice thing. And like as I've always said, and I'll say it again, a problem shared is a problem halved. And basically, sometimes it's good to talk to a few people about different issues. And obviously, the things that's happened online, we've all experienced it somewhere along the line, like in certain different fields. And you always get one idiot who thinks that they're being clever, but in the end, it's sort of like it affects the person mentally. Do you know what I mean? You're basically giving someone mental abuse, and this it's not right. So R.I.P. to Claude, mate, and he's going to be missed because if I'm honest, if he doesn't go on Arsenal Fan TV, I don't think they make it as big as they did. And I think with regards to that, it's in the end, it's that was actually probably got him in a sort of depressing state where he's felt like this. And obviously, I don't know the post-mortem of it, but it's just sad, mate. It's sad in all parties.
Can I say one more thing, James?
Yeah, go on, mate.
I'd just like to say I'm really hoping that Arsenal and all the clubs in the Premier League do the 1 minute silence before the game. I think it will be great if people can do that to support Claude and stand up for online abuse as well. And I'll send my condolences to Claude and to Ty, who was one of his best friends, despite the arguments they have. They've been friends for over 25 years on the coaches and in the Arsenal away days and things like that, and they became really good friends in that way, I've been told. So my condolences go out to all the AFTV, Ty especially, and rest in peace to Claude, and condolences to all his friends and family.
Yeah, well said, man. Well said. Right, before I go, I'll give a shout out. I've got a show coming up Saturday morning, and I've got ex-West Ham employee coming on, and I'm gonna have a good chat with him and pick the bones out of what's going on in the summer, because I want to know. And I've had a chat with him today. Seems like a really nice bloke, so I'm going to get him on Saturday morning with Jazz, and we're going to have a good chat and over a cup of tea and talk West Ham takeovers and transfer budgets, and basically go from there. If any of you lads have got anything you want to plug, like West Ham Online, do you want to mention anything? And I'll go to James and Andy.
Yeah, I do the Who podcast on Spot, is and then w.h.o podcast. I obviously have my Instagram, which is West Ham Online. I do Twitter, but I don't really take it that seriously. But you can follow me if you want, West Ham Online 5. I've got a new business coming out in the next week or so, which I'll plug them, but I'll let you know about that soon.
No worries, mate. James?
Yeah, I'd just like to promote from the Anvil's YouTube channel. This is where you get all of your West Ham news fresh off the press, hence the name. My Twitter handle is from the Anvil WHU. That is from the Anvil WHU. Instagram is Instagram is the same as well. And I'm yet to create a Facebook account, but that's in the works. Currently, we're at 113 subscribers last time I checked. I'm trying to increase the channel's viewership and exposure into YouTube. Well, I think it's working very well so far since I formally started it up in 2020. But I just hope to continue the channel growing. I love talking to other West Ham fans and sharing my content via social media. If you really like my stuff, hit the subscribe button, like for all the content that I'll be posting over the next few weeks. We do reviews of games. Well, I do reviews of games, previews, fan questionnaires, and I review media as well.
Good man. Andy, are you back on Twitter now? Because last time I heard that you insulted the Moose and you was out for 12 hours straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm recovering. I'm out of my ban, and obviously I'm recovering. I don't know whether anyone saw my tweet yesterday, so I'm in a really bad way at the minute as well. So it's really, I'm really bad. But no, I'm a bit like James, really. I'm a bit of a gate crasher. I go on any of the channels who will have me, really. Like, well, I'm here tonight. So unfortunately, I've not put my handle in there, but I'll definitely tag myself in it, and you can give me a follow. I'll do a show on with Gatesy and Duke where it's called Hammer Time of Our Life. So I just wanted to. I think we've tapped you up, James, already, and other James. If you're interested, you select a year which means the most to you, and you come on and talk about it as well. So if you're interested, let me know.
Yeah, sure. I must admit, Forge from Irons. It's a good show and all that. Do you know what I mean? I'm just going to answer this question here really from Jay Woods. Yeah, it will be live, mate. Me, X, and Jazz, and I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully, I can sort of get it on a regular basis with him coming on and having a chat. And so it's been a pleasure, gents. I've had Gatesy on and Irish Tommy, both been very good. Come on earlier on. I've literally got quite a few people on tonight, and it's good. I like this. I like the interaction with people rather than just talking over text. And I think this is better than any sort of Twitter, Facebook, or WhatsApp group you can have, because I'm interacting with people. And as the time goes on with COVID and everything, it's good to talk. But it's been a pleasure. That's James. It's goodbye from James. It's goodbye from Andy. It's goodbye from West Ham Online. I'll be back, as I say, 10:30 Saturday. And I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to it. Me, X, and Jazz, and we're going to get into it. And let's just see what's going to happen with regards to transfers, because he's the man who's in the know. So, take care and all the best. Stay safe.
Thank you very much, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.